Hello everyone and welcome to the final New 52 Teen Titans video. That's right, this is it. This week we are covering the final issues of the second series of the New 52 Teen Titans, written by Tony Bedard, and there is a final annual written by Scott Lobdell. The artists include Ian Churchill, Miguel Mendoza, Corey Smith, Norm Rapmond, and Diana Agaya. Ever since the arc where Superboy killed all of those Durlans, the book has just been spinning its wheels until DC have finally gotten Tony Bedard to come in and end the series, because Will Pfeiffer tied up some stuff in the final issue of his run, and now Tony Bedard is here to finish it off. And it's really bittersweet because despite the middle chunk of this series being really bad, the beginning of the series I thought was pretty decent. I think it had a pretty decent setup and it just went downhill because of editorial decisions. So I'm hoping that when it comes to these final issues, the series wraps up positively. So let's see if it does. Without further ado, let's get into Teen Titans issue 20. The story begins with memes. Somebody's making memes of supervillains. No kidding. Lex Luthor is shown a bunch of memes made of different supervillains. One of himself, owns Metropolis, can evict illegal alien. One of them is of the Joker that says, "So he's tall, dark, and angry? Girl, you're playing my song." One of them has Killer Moth on it, which says, "Killer Moth? You're seriously going with that?" And Lex's assistant says that he could get this taken care of. Like, he's like, "Oh yeah, you want me to go shoot this memer?" And Lex is like, "No, I'm not that thin-skinned." Honestly, I think Lex Luthor would go and kill somebody making memes of him. I think he really is that thin-skinned of a character. But he doesn't. The character that is actually thin-skinned is Munjo Mala. Or he isn't personally thin-skinned. He cares more about the Brain, because Brain has had a meme made of him as well that says, "They said I could be anything I wanted, so I chose Brain in a pickle jar." One thing I like about this, I don't like this meme thing, it's dumb as hell, but something that's kind of funny about it is that meme that says that Lex Luthor owns Metropolis. When it introduces Lex Luthor, it says Lex Luthor owns Metropolis. And when it introduces Brain, it says the Brain, that's not a pickle jar. Like, these are funny little quotations from Tony Bedard. Brain doesn't actually care that somebody is making memes about him, but he cares about Munjo Mala and his feelings. And Munjo Mala cares about Brain, because if you don't know these two characters, they are together. So he's like, "Okay, since you're not gonna get over this, let's go out, find this kid, and deal with him." And Mala just grabs his gun. He's ready to shoot some kid on the internet. There's something hilarious about these villains caring so much about memes being made of them, and also knowing what a troll is. Like, Brain refers to this kid as a troll. Like, how did he learn that term? Is he just surfing the internet in his spare time? Meanwhile, in Greece, after everything that had happened with Cassie's aunt, Tim doesn't want anyone to be able to get caught off guard like that again, so he practices a little training session where everyone's going to try and take him down, and in classic Tim Drake fashion, or not even classic Tim Drake fashion, this is just kind of a modern Tim Drake thing, he takes them all out easily. It's kind of a Batman thing. They're making Tim a little bit like Batman, where he just has every single weakness for these characters. Like, Cassie hits him with her lightning lasso, and he just grabs his staff and turns the charge of her lasso back onto her, taking her out. And when Tanya tries to attack him, he just throws a flashbang in her face, which blinds her. Guard then attacks him and is like, "Man, you're going too far!" And he uses tear gas against him, which forces Guard to turn back into a butterfly so he can fly away, and then Tim just traps him in a jar, throws him, and is intending for Guard to smash on the ground. Or that's what you believe, but he's actually counting on Miguel to save Gar so that he can then come up behind Miguel and clock him out. At this point, Raven is like, that is enough, Red Robin. It'll be enough, Raven, when no one else can catch us with our pants down. I am an empath, Tim. Do you really think your words can hide your inner truth from me? You blame yourself every time we are caught off guard. This is no combat exercise. This is just you punishing yourself. Then why is it me with a lump on my head? He just shut us down, just like that. Yeah, not exactly a confidence builder. It's at this point that it's revealed that Tim has files on everybody that has all their weaknesses, so it's legitimately just Batman. I hope this isn't gonna do a Tower of Babel thing where somebody takes their weaknesses and uses it against them. Tim explains that Miguel's weakness is Gar, because Miguel has never really had any friends, and Gar is the first real friend that he's had, and Miguel in anger just grabs him and is like, how do you know anything about my past? Like, what do you know? So, I have to take this, Miguel. You can beat me up later. As a call comes into Tim, and he answers the call. He's like, I've been dreading this call all day. And the call is from Batman, because Batman has seen a meme of Tim Drake that says, follow me, teen heroes, straight to prison. And Batman says that whoever's making these memes usually makes them of villains. So the fact that Tim has been made into a meme is not a good thing, because it means that the public is starting to view these Teen Titans as villains, especially because this meme has been going very viral. Batman tells Tim to straighten this out or he is going to shut the Teen Titans down. So Tim and Cassie decide to head to New York City, where they track down where the site Legion of Dumb originates from, and it's on this site that the memes originated. So they find the apartment, they enter it, they see who they know is the one creating the memes. His name is Metatron93 online, and Tim is hoping to either make him an ally or pull the plug. As they arrive, Cassie says that the place smells like a baboon's butt, and they very quickly realize that Metatron93 isn't in control of his own mind. The brain arrived before them and has put this metal device on the back of his head, and so it's the brain who is responsible for creating the meme about Tim Drake. And Ninja Mala is here, of course, and that's why the apartment smelled like a baboon's butt. He confirms this to Cassie. Tim threatens to take out Brain if he doesn't free Metatrol, and that is when Brain has Munjamala put a device on the back of Cassie's head and forces Cassie to fight against Tim. He plans on turning all of the Teen Titans into his puppets using Metatron 93. This meme stuff is pretty ridiculous, but you know what? It's still better than all of that Superboy stuff. And so far, I think it's already better than some of the Wonder Girl stuff, because despite being ridiculous, this is kind of fun. Like, Tony Bernard is just having fun with these last few issues while he wraps up the series. Oh, you want me to come in and wrap up this series last minute? Oh yeah, then I'll have the Teen Titans fight memes. Speaking of memes, the next issue starts off with a bunch of memes, and the main reason these memes suck is that they're not memes. It's just pictures with statements on them that aren't even funny. It's like, Metatron93 trolls villains online. They're not laughing. Like, yeah, that's just a fact. Like, that's not funny. What's funny about that? The Brain, evil super genius, not laughing. Red Robin leads Teen Titans, kinda starting to regret it. Like, what are we doing here? Cassie is under the control of Brain, so she starts attacking Tim. They crash through a window straight into Central Park Zoo, where Tim throws her into a enclosure full of sea lions, and has a brief moment to contact the other Titans to tell them that he needs their help, and also to take care of Brain and Marla. Meanwhile, Marla is upset that the Titans have been thrown into a zoo, because he is a gorilla and he hates zoos. Like, he hates how animals are treated and stuff in zoos, even though these days zoos tend to be a lot better at treating their animals. Really just depends on where you live. And Marla actually gets upset at Brain about this, and Brain just seems to not care about Marla's feelings, which is kind of sad. Raven and Tanya realize that this is Metatrol, the kid that's been making the memes. Raven tries to help him, not realizing that he's under mind control of Brain, and Brain uses Meta to attack Raven And Raven then just uses her dark tendrils to pull the device off of Meta's head. Already, she's much more useful in these issues than she was in some of the previous issues where all she was doing was just teleporting people around. She still does that, but at least she's using her powers to do other things as well. Brain decides to make a quick escape by propelling himself through the room like a rocket. It's kind of hilarious. He looks like a torpedo. He smashes straight through the window as Tanya tries to grab him. Marla sees Brain flying. He's like, Brain! Quickly, Marla, we have work to do. Cassie attacks Tim again, but is taken down by Bunker, and then Beast Boy flies in and pulls the device off the back of her neck, freeing her, and Tim then reveals to everybody that Brain and Marla are behind this, and that Marla is a giant gorilla, and Beast Boy's like, oh, a giant gorilla? I can take care of that. That is when Brain flies overhead and is like, oh, Titans, you think you're good guys? Well, let's put that to the test. And he throws a whole bunch of devices down that attach themselves to the sea lions and also other animals in the zoo as well. And he basically tests them to see, like, are they gonna kill these sea lions? Are they gonna run away and save themselves? Are they gonna save the people? Like, how are they gonna take care of this situation? Because it will decide what they really are. Heroes, villains, or simply just human. Because Brain doesn't believe in heroes or villains. Like, he doesn't believe in that label. He says that everybody is just some kind of middle ground between the two. Raven and Tanya have a conversation with Metatron. I can't believe there are characters having to have a conversation like this in a comic book, where they're telling him, you shouldn't be making memes of supervillains because it's really dangerous, because the villains can come after you. And he's like, what have I done? I haven't done anything wrong. You know, all I'm guilty of is parody. You guys, on the other hand, broke into a federal prison. And at that point, he's like, you know what? We're done here. And they leave. And he's like, wait, let me come too. Maybe I was wrong about you. We have a couple more memes given to us here. And the only one that actually made me chuckle a little bit was the one of Sinestro, where he's like, pull my finger, I dare you. And he's pointing. I'm a little ashamed it made me laugh, but it did. The Titans try to take care of the controlled animals without hurting them. And Tim's like, the only way we can stop them without hurting them is by going for the source, which is Brain. Meanwhile, Marla is like, oh, not the zoo. Let's sigh. Duty calls. And he heads inside and everybody's in there and they're like, whoa, a monkey with a gun? And then they all get taken over by Brain. And Brain welcomes Marla in. He's like, I'll be right there, Brain. I do not like this experiment. Not one bit. Because that's what Brain is referring to this as. It's like his big experiment. Tanya and Raven then arrive in order to help the rest of the Titans. And Tim announces their quote, Titans together. Cassie flies up towards Brain to grab him while Brain shoots Tim in the back with some lasers. Cassie's like, I'll kill you for that. So at the end of the day, you are just like me. At the end of the day, you'll be a stain on the sidewalk. Which is a bit of an unfortunate thing for Cassie to be saying. I don't like these depictions of Cassie being a villain. I'm just going to imagine that she's not being truthful here. Like, she doesn't have any intention on actually killing him. Marla blasts her with his gun, which causes her to drop Brain, so he quickly grabs Brain and saves him. And Brain is like, cutting it a bit close there. Shut up! Why are you doing this, Brain? I only wanted to silence someone ridiculing you, but you've turned this into... I told you I wanted to run an experiment to show the world that hero and villain are empty words. That there is no good or bad, just weak and strong. Oh, spare me. These children are strong, but they are not like us. Look at them. They bring out the best in each other. Can you say the same about us? How can you even ask that, Marla? It's kind of weird that often whenever Brain and Marla show up in books, they start off doing bad things, but then by the end they end up seeming like some of the most reasonable characters. Not that what Brain did was right at all. What he was doing was completely wrong, but Marla is, you know, coming across as a pretty decent person. It's almost like he's only a supervillain because he's with Brain. You know what Marla probably really wants is for just him and Brain to retire together and live out the rest of their lives vacationing or something. Raven decides to trap Marla and Brain in her home dimension of Azeroth, and she will come back for them later, and they're completely fine with that. Brain is just kind of given in. He's like, oh, hold me, Marla. And Marla's like, well, I'll be anywhere as long as it's not a zoo. The animals are all freed of the devices and put back into their enclosures. Metatrol takes videos of the Titans in order to spread it online that they are actually good people, but then they realize that Robin is missing. He is in Louisiana at Belle Reve Supermax Penitentiary, where he's having a conversation with somebody about how they broke into Supermax in Metropolis. It turns out the person he's talking to is Amanda Waller, and Tim thinks that this is just a standard kidnapping, but Amanda's like, don't call this a kidnapping. Think of it as a job interview. So is Amanda Waller considering hiring the Teen Titans to be her new Suicide Squad? If so, kind of interesting. I don't think they would ever agree to something like that. But we'll see what she has in store for them. Now, not a lot happens in this next issue, but what does happen, I kinda enjoyed. The Titans are currently looking for Tim Drake, who is currently being interrogated by Waller. She intends on the Titans joining her and becoming a new Suicide Squad for her, and Tim tells her that the Titans would never do that, and that they are going to come for him, and she is not going to be able to stop them. In fact, she is going to regret having kidnapped Tim. And she's like, oh, are you threatening me? And he's like, yeah, kinda, you know. I'm not threatening to kill you or anything, but I am saying that when the Titans come here, they're gonna kick your ass if you don't let me go. The Titans almost give up looking for Tim because they can't find him. But while they're in New Jersey, they find Tim's plane, and Tanya goes on it and sees that he has a tracking device that shows that he is in Louisiana at Belle Reve. And Tanya knows Belle Reve because she worked for Star Labs, and they gave Belle Reve weapons that could fight against superheroes or people with powers. And so they put two and two together and are like, oh, if we go to Belle Reve to save Tim, they're gonna have these weapons. They know our superpowers. They're probably going to be able to fight against us with our weaknesses. So we're going to have to plan a way to get into Belle Reve and use the weapons against them. Because when it comes to these weapons, each one is specifically built to take care of a different person. So all they have to do is just trick them into using the weapons on the wrong person, which is exactly what they do. The guards are all at Belle Reve, and then Raven appears in front of them. So they shoot her with this gun that is made to take her down, and they think that they've taken down Raven, but in fact, this is Tanya wearing Raven's cloak. She grows ginormous in size, tearing apart Raven's cloak, and she's like, oh, Raven's gonna be really pissed that you ruined her cloak, and they're like, quick, shoot her with the gun that we've made for her, and she quickly steps down, causing these guys to fly everywhere, and is like, no, not today. Tim gives Waller a bit of a sassy remark. He's like, so, you have countermeasures for magic, heat vision, shapeshifting? What do you got for smarter than you? Meanwhile, in the South Wing, a bunch of guards come across Bunker, who is trying to block up the corridor, so they try to shoot him, but Wonder Girl gets in the way and blocks their rays. And then while they're distracted, Raven comes up from behind them and attacks them with her dark energy powers. And Waller's just watching this, and she's kind of happy. She's like, yeah, I can't wait to have them on the squad. And Tim's like, I told you, there are lines they won't cross. Oh, they'll stop pulling their punches when my men do. Oh, Eunice, this is Director Waller. You are cleared for deadly force. Come on, boss, they're just kids. Captain Blair, you are relieved. Like, she just fires this guy because he doesn't want to kill these kids. Sergeant Campbell, you have your orders. And Sergeant Campbell has no problem with it. He's like, yes, ma'am. Meanwhile, in the showers, Beast Boy comes up out of a toilet, which is really gross. The toilet is full of shit. He then turns into a snake, comes up behind one of the guards, and turns into a lizard, where he hides under the table. Unfortunately, one of the guards spots him, and so Beast Boy gets in contact with the other Titans and is like, guys, how quickly can you get here? I've been had. The other Titans must have been right outside because they just come crashing in immediately, sending one of these guards flying. The guard grabs Beast Boy and is like, "Hey, you better stop or I'll squish your friend." But Beast Boy breaks out of his grasp by turning into an alligator or a crocodile. I'm not sure which one it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be a crocodile because alligators tend to have like longer snouts. I'm pretty sure that's one of the major differences, besides, one being freshwater, one being saltwater. One of the guards shoots Raven with a blast cannon, which knocks her down, which is real bad, and then Beast Boy smacks it out of his hand and sends him flying because he's really mad that he's badly hurt Raven, and this guy's bone is sticking out of his leg. It's pretty nasty. The guard begs Beast Boy to stop and is like, "No, you don't understand. The weapon that you cracked, it's really unstable, so we gotta stop this thing before it destroys us all." And Bunker's like, "Alright, I might be able to contain the blast within my psionic bricks." So he encases it in these psionic bricks. The gun explodes. He's like, "Oh, that took a lot out of me, but I think it worked." Gar turns back into his normal form and is just happy to see that Raven is okay. And Blair tells everybody to stand down and not attack these kids. And Waller's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And the other guards are like, "Yeah, we're not gonna attack these kids. Like, this is stupid. This is insane." And she says that she is going to fire them all. And Tim's like, "Yeah, you're gonna fire them and then send them to a job that's much better paid. Or I'll make sure your friends in Congress find out how you endangered your staff tonight. How long have you been free? Better question, why didn't they live down to your worst expectations?" The other Titans are there, and Beast Boy's like, because we're the good guys? Because we're the good guys. We're done here, Waller. Get out, you're not squad material, that much is right. Just stay out of trouble. She's like, it's like she doesn't really know what to say. She's like, "I guess I failed making you Suicide Squad members, so yeah, just get out of here, you rascals." Love to. Now, if only Trouble would stop looking for us. We'll see what happens to the Teen Titans next, because they're still fugitives. After dealing with Belle Reeve and the Amanda Waller situation, the Titans head into New Orleans to chill out, and that is when Tim gets a call from Batman, and the whole fugitive ordeal is absolved at this very moment. Batman calls him and is like, "Hey, I heard about what you did with Amanda Waller. Turns out she's gone and talked to the director, the government, all that shit, and you're no longer fugitives. You've been absolved of all of your crimes of breaking into that prison and attacking guards and stuff." And Batman says, "Although I've had a lot of doubts when it comes to the Teen Titans, maybe I was wrong." And before he could finish saying that he's wrong, one of the very few times that Batman has admitted he is wrong, the power in New Orleans goes out, and then a massive psionic wave is emitted, and Raven uses her powers to shield the rest of the Titans from this psionic wave. Everybody in the city is taken over by the psionic wave, and it was emitted by an organization known as Hive, who were created by Brainiac, and they are led by the Hive Queen, who is a woman with the power to control people's minds. And these mind-controlled people start just grabbing signposts and traffic lights. They start building a giant satellite. Tanya and Cassie go high up in order to see what's going on, and they see that the satellite is being put on the Superdome. The mind control people then all look at the Titans, and the Titans realize that they're making some kind of weird noise that they're calling to the Hive Queen. And she appears and explains that what she's trying to do is create a world that she believes is the best possible world, which is a world where everyone is under her control. Somehow the Titans are ignoring her mind control abilities, but she will find a way to control their minds as well. Cassie tries to attack her, but she goes straight through her, and Hive Queen is like, yeah, you can't fight me because this is just a psionic apparition. Turns out she's actually operating all of this from a little computer room, because every villain in this series has to have a secret computer room that they're sitting in. We had it with Manchester Black, Now we've got it with the Hive Queen. So the Titans run into New Orleans in order to escape from these mind-controlled people, and Tim suggests that they all split up. And Raven is like, no, splitting up is a bad idea because then we would all be at risk of being attacked by the Hive Queen. And Tim is like, yeah, but I've got a plan, and I can't tell you what it is. But unlike the previous times where I refused to tell you what my plans were, it was just like me not trusting you. This time I'm not telling you because if you do get controlled by the Hive Queen, she'll find out my plan. So you're just gonna have to trust me. And so they all reach in with their hands and they go like, woo! Like, we're the Titans, yay! And Tim tells Bunker and Cassie to go off and destroy one satellite, Beast Boy and Power Girl to go on and destroy another satellite. And then Tim and Raven stay behind, waiting for them to destroy the satellites. The satellites are destroyed by the Titans, and the Hive Queen lashes out in fury, which is what Tim was waiting for. He gets a lock on the biochemical surge emitting from the brains of all the people that the Hive Queen has control over, which allows him to pinpoint the origin of the psionic waves. Unfortunately, in the process, the rest of the Titans have been mind-controlled by the Hive Queen, except for Raven. Raven also passes out from using her abilities, from overexerting herself. So Tim grabs her, he glides down to an amusement park, which we get a reference, like a Hurricane Katrina reference, which I was not expecting. He's like, oh yeah, this place is still shut down ever since Katrina. I'm like, okay. It's 2016 and we're still dropping references to that. Tim gets attacked by a bunch of mind-controlled dudes. He just beats the crap out of them. These people are all probably just innocent people, but what's he gotta do, you know? What's he gonna do about it? There's not really anything else he could do. Tim and Raven break into the Hive Queen's secret room, and she immediately uses her psionic abilities against them, taking control of their minds. But that's exactly what Tim wanted, because as soon as she tries to look into his mind, she gets attacked and her brain just fritzes out, and everyone who is under her control fritzes out as well. And they all pass out. They're no longer under the Hive Queen's control, and she passes out as well. And Tim explains to the Titans that what happened is, he did a thing that Batman does, where he puts a puzzle in his mind. So if anybody tries to read his mind, they get hit with this puzzle. And what he did was have Raven power it with her magic. So it was like a chaotic, dark puzzle or riddle within his mind that hit the Hive Queen as she entered his mind, which caused her powers to fritz out and caused her to pass out. That's honestly the simplest way I can explain it. And Bunker's like, hey, that superpower of yours not bad at all. I'm just sorry I had to use you guys like pawns. To capture a queen, that's how you win. And Teen Titans always win. Except for, like, the last couple of arcs, and also most of the arcs in the previous series. They were always losing. I guess ever since Beast Boy joined, they've had more wins because he wasn't really a Teen Titan during the period where they were losing all the time. We now move on to Annual 2 of Teen Titans, written by Scott Lobdell, with art by Corey Smith. The Titans are in New York City. They are partying at a club. Apparently, Gar recommended that they come to this club, so we see Miguel and Cassie having a good time together, and Miguel's like, doesn't it feel a little bit wrong that we're having fun at this club and we're not out there saving people? And Cassie's just like, chill out, come on, we've earned this. Meanwhile, Tanya and Tim are watching them dance. Tanya really wants to go out and dance, but Tim's a bit of a stickler. He's like, there's not enough bodyguards and stuff, making sure that all of these people are the right age to drink. And Tanya's like, oh, come on, like, you need to stop being so stiff. Come on, let's dance. And she pulls Tim away to go and dance. And it's these kind of moments that I enjoy. Like, compared to all of the previous stuff that Scott Lobdell has written for Teen Titans, this annual is actually pretty decent. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's a decent send-off for Scott. It's like he knew that this was the last time he was going to be writing the Teen Titans, so he wanted his final Teen Titans story to be good. Miguel is approached by this guy known as Aaron, and Aaron wants to dance with him. And Miguel's like, oh, I would love to dance, but I'm here with my friend who is walking away right now. And Cassie's like, have fun. This is an interaction I quite enjoy. This is one of the few jokes that Scott has made that I think has landed. So Aaron and Miguel start dancing together. Meanwhile, Raven is grabbing food from a food truck, and the guys around her are like, wow, that's a lot of food. I'm surprised you're going to be eating all that. And Raven's like, it's not for me, it's for this green pig in an alleyway that I'm friends with. And she heads into the alleyway, and we see that green pig. It's Beast Boy. He's in his pig form. And they end up having a little conversation where Raven is like, you told us to go to this club. You brought us here. And yet now you want to spend all your time outside? Like, what's up with that? And Gar's just like, I don't know. I guess I'm just not feeling it anymore. Back in the club, Aaron gets a little handsy. He kisses Miguel without his consent. Miguel's like, whoa, taking things a little bit too fast. And Aaron's like, yep, that's me. I'm also the type of guy who likes to share. And Miguel's like, no thanks. And it turns out Aaron is talking about drugs. Miguel's like, no, I am not interested in taking any drugs. Aaron's like, oh, suit yourself. And he takes the drugs. It turns out Aaron kind of sucks. He's not really a great guy. Meanwhile, Tim has a bit of a dance with Tanya, and Tanya notes that he's not very good with dancing because he's too stiff. He needs to let loose. And then Cassie shows up, and they both start dancing with him, and we actually start to see Tim come out of his shell, let loose, and start dancing with them. It's a lovely moment between these three friends. Meanwhile, Aaron is not having a great time. He just took those drugs, and he starts vomiting, and Miguel's like, whoa, what's happening to you? And Aaron starts to transform, and he turns into a giant green porcupine monster where he attacks Miguel, and Miguel protects himself with his psionic bricks. And one thing I don't like about the art in this book, I like the art overall, but I don't really like the coloration of Miguel's bricks in this issue. They tend to look a bit more blue. Sometimes they have a purplish hue to them, but I prefer when they are just straight up purple. Miguel is afraid to fight back against Aaron because he doesn't want to hurt him, and that's when Power Girl just comes in, kicking this dude super far, and she's like, are you okay, Miguel? And Miguel's like, oh, yeah, I'm good, thank you. And Tim, it turns out he was wearing his Red Robin outfit this whole time. He rips out of his clothes. I can't believe he had his wings in that suit with him. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Look at these wings. They're huge. Like, I know this is a comic book, but there has to be a certain level of believability that he can have these wings just hidden in his clothes. Tim pulls out a little device and he scans Aaron, and it turns out Aaron's all good now. He's turned back to normal. He's human again. And it's apparently because of the force of Tanya kicking him. So if you beat up these people that have turned into monsters, they'll turn back to normal. That's what Tim concludes. And then it turns out more people in the club have taken these drugs because everybody, like a bunch of people, start turning into horrible monster animal hybrids. So Tim calls Raven and Gar to help them and make sure that nobody gets trampled because everybody's running out of the club. So Raven starts using her powers against them to make sure that they're safe. Miguel protects a crowd of people from a bunch of these monsters using his psionic bricks, and they trample over him, and his bricks are strong enough to create a bridge for them to trample over. Meanwhile, Tim heads to the kitchen with Gar, and there's a shot of him flying through the door. I don't know how he gained the height to be able to do that. If he was on the ground, did he, like, jump up and then just, like, fly along the ground or something? I don't know, it doesn't really make much sense. I guess he maybe climbed all the way to the top of the club and then flew off of there and through the door. But if you're going through all of that trouble, you might as well just run through the door on your feet. Tim tells Gar that this entire night he noticed that there was this one waitress who was going around talking to all the people that turned into monsters, and they would never take drinks from her or anything. So it's his idea that she was slipping them these drugs for them to take. And he uses his X-ray vision to see that there is a staircase under a table, and so Gar swats the table away, They head down into this secret staircase, and Tim believes that because these monsters are very similar to Gar, they're green, they're animal themed, that when Professor Pig took Gar's blood, it was used to create these drugs. And Gar is like, oh, you think Professor Pig is behind this? I hope not, because I don't want to see that guy again. And Tim's like, no, I don't think it's Professor Pig. And they get down to the end of the staircase, and we see Sister Blood. Not Brother Blood, Sister Blood. Same character, but a woman. And she has all of her henchmen behind her, and she was behind this whole thing. The last time we saw her was in issue 15, where at the end of that book, Professor Pig gave her Gar's blood. So we are getting a continuation of that storyline. We actually get a conclusion to it. Meanwhile, Cassie, Miguel, and Tanya all head outside because they think Red Robin might be outside, but he's not there. All they find is Raven, and it turns out what she did with all of those people that was running out of the club, she put them all into her... She created like a dark wall, a big mass of dark energy, and she had all of them trapped in there, and they all look horrified. And Raven's just casually like, yeah, I can let them out of my power now. It's gonna take them a few weeks to be okay. And I'm like, a few weeks? Why are you saying that so casually like it's nothing? Taking a few weeks to recover? That's a long time. What did you do to them? Sister Blood explains everything to Gar and Tim, basically saying, I took Gar's blood, made it into some drugs that will turn everybody into monsters so that they all can be under my control, and I think that it's a good thing because everybody's going to be the same. And she turns all of her henchmen into these monstrous creatures, and this pisses Gar off. He turns into a T-Rex, he fights against them, and so does Tim. And we get a cool shot of Gar turning into 3 different animals very quickly. He goes from crocodile to gorilla to rhino. It's a very cool shot as he's punching out all of these guys. Tim gets overwhelmed, and Gar's like, oh no, Tim! And that's when the other Titans arrive, and turns out Tim's okay. He's strong enough to just get these guys off of him. He just goes, Rah! And they all go flying. It's like, whoa, how strong is Tim supposed to be? The Titans all work together to beat up these guys, and Tim is like, wait a minute, where's Beast Boy? And also, where's Sister Blood? Hey Raven, can you teleport me to where they are? And so she does that, she teleports him, and Tim finds Beast Boy outside of a truck. And Beast Boy says, I followed Sister Blood, she's hiding in this truck. He rips her open, pulls her out, and is gonna kill her for what she's done, because, like, he's like, oh, you've done horrible things using my blood, using my powers, so I'm going to take you out for that. And Tim convinces him not to kill her. And Beast Boy's like, you're not a metahuman, so you don't understand what it's like to have your powers used against you. And Tim's like, yeah, I'm not a metahuman, but you are, and the best thing you could do is be human and a little bit more. And Gar's like, I don't know what that means exactly, but it sort of almost sounds like a compliment. It sort of almost is. Sister Blood tries to shoot them, but Tim just throws one of his batarangs? He has a batarang. It's not a robin rang because it looks like a bat. At her to knock the gun out of her hand, and Gar's like, oh, what was that? And Tim's like, oh, it was nothing. They bring Sister Blood back to the other Titans, where they just create a pile of Sister Blood and all of her henchmen, and Raven's just happily chilling on this skull throne. It's like she thinks it's where she belongs. Ah yes, a throne of skulls. Feels like home. The Titans plan on celebrating, but Tim's like, no! That's the problem. The reason we were in this mess to begin with is because we were busy celebrating. Instead, we should have known this was going to happen the last time we encountered Professor Pig. Instead of stopping him, and we were busy doing other stuff, and then this got out of hand. Look what happened. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, how are they ever going to have time to deal with this? First of all, they had no clue what happened to Professor Pig. It's not like they knew where he went. And second of all, they've been busy doing a lot of stuff since that one issue. You know, they were dealing with Cassie's crazy aunt. They were dealing with the Hive. They were dealing with Munjil Mala and the Brain. The Titans have been absolutely stacked with work. And Cassie's like, are you seriously going to stand there and tell us we're not working hard enough? And that's when Tim kind of flips and is like, actually, no, not at all. I'm only talking about myself. I'm totally talking about myself, even though I just said the problem is that we're not doing enough work. Like, he said we before, and now he's just saying it's him. And someday, very soon, I'm going to have to make some tough decisions about just how much good I can do with the Teen Titans. This is basically editorial talking through Tim, being like, Scott, you gotta set up the final issue of Teen Titans because we're ending the book and we're disbanding the team and we're gonna create a new team for Rebirth, which is led by Damian Wayne, so you gotta set that up. Overall, like I said before, this annual actually wasn't too bad. I thought it was pretty decent. It was a good story, a good final story for Scott Lobdell's stint on Teen Titans, and he never writes another issue of Teen Titans ever again after this, so it's a good one for him to end on. And with that, we move on to the final issue of Teen Titans, New 52 Teen Titans, issue 24. The first thing that's important to note is that this issue takes place after Detective Comics issue 940, where in that, Tim Drake was killed off. That's right, he is dead. Eventually it'd be revealed that he never actually died, but I don't have time to go through all that. All that matters is that he is dead. Now, when it comes to this issue, I have things that I need to say about it, but I'm going to save my thoughts for the very end and just start with telling you all what happens. So, Tim is dead, and the characters, the Titans, are all talking about their greatest memories that they had with him. So we flash back to when the Titans had a boat. You remember that? They had a yacht. And Miguel is talking about his last great memory, or his favorite memory, with Tim. In this flashback, we see that Beast Boy is green. Now, back then, Beast Boy was red, so this is just proof that DC really is just ignoring Red Beast Boy entirely, where they're now retconning that he was green in these flashbacks. Tim asks Miguel for help. He needs to go to an alumni event at an old high school, and he wants Miguel to help him pick out an outfit. And Miguel's like, oh, are you only picking me because I'm gay, and gay people are good at dressing up? And Tim's like, no, it's not like that at all. And Miguel's like, I'm kidding. Come on, I'll help you. Of course I will. So they head to Miguel's favorite place to buy clothes, and Tim tries on all these different clothes, and Miguel's like, oh, that's a good one. And it's kind of this funny looking outfit that Tim is wearing. Honestly, take away the scarf and just, not make it a crop top. He'd look good, I think. The crop top really doesn't actually look that bad. But he's obviously just kidding. He's like, no, this is not the outfit you should be wearing, Tim. I've got a better one for you. And as they leave the boutique, they see that a pride parade is going on outside. And they decide to join it. And it's just a really lovely moment of Tim surrounding himself with these people. And he makes a lot of friends. And now that Tim is bi, that recontextualizes all of this. Like, originally it was like, oh, Tim is just getting along with people who might be different to him. And it's just an example of Tim being open to this kind of stuff. Now, when you read it, you can kind of look at it as like, oh, Tim has found people that he relates to. And that this may have been the first time that he really started to think about himself. Tanya then recounts one of her memories with Tim, which was them going and checking out the site where there was some experimental tech. And the two of them were making sure that there was nothing dangerous left there. And while they are there, Tim compliments her on her scientific abilities, which is a lot coming from someone like Tim. He's a very smart guy, so when he tells you that you are smart and that he appreciates your abilities, it's quite the compliment, and Tanya likes it because it's the nicest thing that anyone has said to her in quite a while. Raven then talks about a memory she had with Tim. It wasn't long after the Titans had inducted her, and she still felt evil because she was the daughter of Trigon. And Tim was the first of the Titans to make her truly feel welcomed and show that he cares for her as a friend and an ally. and that he doesn't see her as a monster like her father. And that he too has had trouble in the past with father figures like Batman. I know a thing or two about scary father figures and kids saddled with dark destinies. The Robin that followed me is named Damien, and he's a real piece of work. I couldn't believe it when Batman took him in. I mean, the kid was a ticking time bomb, and yet somehow Batman saw a spark of good in him. I couldn't understand it, but he saw something in Damien that even Damien didn't see in himself. I finally got it when I recognized the spark of good in you. It's a very lovely moment that he has with Raven. And then Beast Boy kind of lists off the other Robins and his opinions on them, and he says that he doesn't really have a very good opinion of Damien, but he trusts Tim's instincts when it comes to Damien, and this is kind of setting up the fact that Beast Boy would be on Damien's team after this book. Cassie then talks about one of her memories with Tim, where they're at the Stop for Shop, and she asks Tim why he never kissed her again after the last time they kissed, and Tim says it's because she had a bit of a thing with Connor, and that he didn't want to get in the way of that, and that it wasn't really him kissing Cassie, his mind was all messed up by Trigon, and that kind of stuff. And then they hear a massive explosion, they go to check it out, they see that this place is on fire, so they decide to help these firefighters put out the fire and save all the people that are stuck in the building. And this reminds Cassie why she likes working with Tim so much. It's so effortless, it's fun, she just loves being alongside him. And she says that the real reason he never kissed her again is because he was dating Spoiler at the time, and he was trying to respect her. And then Raven is like, well, we've talked about our memories that we've had with Tim, but there's one thing we haven't talked about. What are we going to do now? What about the Titans? And everyone agrees that they're just not really feeling it. They feel like they can't have a Titans without a Robin in charge. And so they all decide to go their separate ways. Raven goes to San Francisco because she has family there that she can spend time with. Miguel decides that he's going to try and make it in Hollywood, and Gar wants to go with him, and Miguel's like, I'll take you to the airport, but I'm not sure what's going to happen after that. And this is actually the last time we will see Miguel as a prominent character in a Titans book, unfortunately. I really like this character, but yeah, outside of appearances in LGBT, like in the Pride specials, Miguel pretty much becomes irrelevant to the DC universe as a whole. And then we're left with Tanya and Cassie, and Tanya's like, well, I guess that's that. Still can't believe he's gone, it just doesn't seem real. I don't know what to do now. Me neither, Cassie. Tanya turns off the light, and we are left with a page of Damian Wayne looking at Tim's Red Robin costume. And Tanya says, but I do know we can still do some good as Power Girl and Wonder Girl. I know, Tanya. I know one way or another, Tim would want each of us to keep fighting the good fight. Not as the Titans. You were right about that. How'd you put it, Cassie? Yes. It's just not the Teen Titans without a Robin in charge. And this is obviously alluding to Damian taking over the team. And that is the end of the issue. Overall, I think, just as an issue on its own, it is good. This is a good issue. It was lovely to see all the Teen Titans talk about the memories that they've had with Tim. But as a final issue to this overall series, I don't think it's great because of what this series was prior to this issue. What the relationships these characters had to Tim were prior to this. In order for this issue to work, you had to ignore most of their prior history. Because for most of this series, Tim and the Titans were at odds with one another. Cassie and Tim were at odds with one another. One of the scenes in this issue where Cassie is asking Tim why he didn't kiss her again only works because it ignores that one scene where Tim did kiss Cassie again. Like, he did kiss her. And it went nowhere. And all of these memories that the Titans are referring to, all these happy memories that they had with Tim, never happened until this very issue. Like, Tony Bedard had to make up a bunch of stuff. He had to make up a bunch of good memories that the Titans had with Tim, because they didn't really have any good memories with Tim prior. So I think that's my main issue with this book. On its own, it's great, but as soon as you try to start connecting it to the stuff that happened before, it just doesn't work. And it really doesn't help that it feels like this issue was just tacked on at the end, because you had to read Detective Comics before getting to this issue to even know what is going on. But with that out of the way, that's it. That's the end of New 52 Teen Titans. It's been a long road. We went through all the Scott Lobdell stuff, the Will Pfeiffer stuff. It's really been up and down, or down and up and down, because we started off down, and then Will Pfeiffer brought us up a bit, and then we went down again, and then towards the end, it was just kind of okay. So, overall, I don't recommend reading this series. I know you didn't have to watch this series to find out, oh, New 52 Teen Titans is bad, like everyone already says it is. I think the purpose of this video series wasn't so much to find out whether or not you should read New 52 Teen Titans. It's a series that was made for you to watch where you didn't have to read New 52 Teen Titans. Where if you were wondering what happened in it, here you go. This is what happened. I hope you enjoyed watching these videos. Despite my feelings on this series, I did enjoy making these videos. It's not like I was miserable the entire time making it. Reading them was quite miserable, but making the videos wasn't. I had a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to next week, because starting next week, I am officially beginning my journey through New 52 Flash. That's right, I've been pushing it off for a while. I wanted to do some different things, take a break from the Flash. But starting next week, we are beginning the Francis Manapul and Brian Buccellato run on the Flash. So I hope you're looking forward to that, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.